Hi, guys, this is Satella, and today I wanted to talk about forgiveness. I felt impressed in my spirit to speak about it, and so that's what we're going to talk about today. I would ask you some housekeeping to subscribe, like, share, and comment on the video. It would be much appreciated if you would do that. Okay, so let's get into the video. Matthew chapter 6 says, "Forgive us our debts as we have also forgiven our debtors." Forgive us our debts as we have forgiven our debtors. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 31 to 32, it says, "Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as Christ, Yahweh, forgave us." Isn't that important? We are to forgive one another just as Christ and Yahweh forgave us. The metaphysical meaning of forgiveness is a process of giving up the false for the true, erasing sin and error from the mind and the body. That's powerful. You see, for you, forgiveness is to no longer hold on to sin. No longer to hold on to the sin against the person who sinned against you. Because what is the meaning of sin? Sin is meaning to miss the mark. Think of the bullseye. You know, when you're throwing that dart, you want to land it right in the center. Sin is the opposite of that analogy. You're throwing the dart, you're shooting the arrow, you're firing the gun, but you're not hitting the center. You keep missing. Sometimes not too far off, sometimes you're way off, sometimes you don't even hit the board or the image that is up there. But sin means to miss the mark. You must make an intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger. You choose to overcome the resentment. You intentionally stand, that is, hold the vibration of not allowing the wrong done to you as the injured party to reside in you, in your body, in your mind. You see, the heart center, the energetic center of the heart, when you choose to forgive, you release yourself first from the energies of anger, resentment, and bitterness. The heart center is where we hold the energies of love, compassion, and bringing emotional balance into our lives. When you choose not to forgive immediately, you block your heart center, your heart energetic center. You impose upon yourself limitations that block you from functioning as your true self. You see, the heart center is the midpoint between the higher energetic centers and the lower energetic centers. What you want to do to foster forgiveness is the opening of the heart center. when you can separate from the energy of unforgiveness, you have the capacity to open yourself up to deeper connections with others, in particular, those that offended or hurt you, betrayed you. So self-forgiveness, forgive yourself from allowing anyone to have power over you, to hurt you. That's what it means to forgive. Shift into compassion. When you shift to compassion, you begin to open your heart center to empathy from those that hurt you. It stops impeding your ability to move forward, not only in your life, but it begins to expand your spiritual growth to levels not thought possible. I'm not talking about an emotional feeling in the moment. I'm saying you must embrace, embody the energetical vibration of love. You know, the scripture tells us that love covers all. Love forgives all. In Luke chapter 23 and verse 34, Yeshua is on the cross. And he said, Father, forgive them. They know not what they are doing. He had empathy. He had compassion. He had love. He had unconditional love for those that were crucifying him on the cross. Did it mean he was not whipped or nailed to the cross? Of course it didn't. What is meant, or what he meant, was he had embodied the very consciousness of unconditional love. You see, everyone is you pushed out. And when we understand that, we're able to look through a lens that is very different at people who hurt or offend or abuse us in some way. When you release the anger, you feel the allowing effects of allowing someone who hurt you. Let me rephrase that. You see, when you release the anger, you felt when someone betrayed you, whether it was, whatever form of betrayal it was. Sometimes, we might feel pretty foolish because we allowed that person to get so close that they were able to inflict that pain. But that's okay. It's a part of our soul development and learning process that we agreed to, by the way. See, you're freeing yourself from holding any bad, negative energy. Because when you hold that energy, you're blocking your heart energetic center. And you certainly don't want to do that. You see, the second principle of the commandments, here we talk about the 10 commandments and the second commandment, but I like to use the term principle. In Mark chapter 12, verse 31, it says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. This is an embodiment of Christ consciousness. To release and surrender the hurt that was assailed against you. I know I can hear some of you saying, but they really hurt me. But you must let it go. Because when you do, your you're able to let go of the low vibrations, the low vibrational frequencies of anger, guilt, shame, and resentment. You know, sometimes we say, I was so stupid, I was so foolish. How did I allow this to happen? Let's get past all of that. Make the mental shift from being locked, stuck in the vibration of unforgiveness. This is a choice, not a feeling, not an emotional feeling. It is a knowing, a choice, a deliberate, logical decision that brings you to freedom. Everybody's experience in hurt and betrayal is different. There were people who hurt me. I was extremely angry with them. But guess what? We've hurt people too. And they've forgiven us. The question then becomes, as you are making the mental shift to unforgiveness, and believe me, it is a shift that you have to make. Ask yourself this question: why did I allow the space for this hurt or this person to betray me? Is it that you think that you deserve that hurt, that betrayal, that pain, that trauma? Do you want to be the victim to elicit sympathy? I can emphatically tell you no, it's not because you're weak or flawed or seeking attention. No. More often than not, you were conditioned as a child by mirroring those around you to stay small, to not cause conflict by standing up for yourself, to keep the peace, to let the other person always be right. That is a distortion that you must shed. And I'm not talking about it making you always right. But when you're able to stand from a mindful and objective position when something is happening, and then you begin to ask yourself, this is the shift, when you begin to question, when you begin to ask yourself, why? What am I carrying? What frequency am I vibrating at that's allowing this to come into my life? As I said before, why did I make this choice to allow this to happen? And when you've answered that question, obviously you can release it. Obviously you can forgive. You see, a part of making the mental shift to forgiveness is establishing healthy boundaries where we take responsibilities for our own shortcomings, as I said, our own betrayals that we've done, why we allowed something, so that we allow people and let people be responsible for their own actions. You see, you no longer want to carry around why somebody is behaving in a particular manner, why someone is being abusive. That's not your responsibility. They have to figure that out. You have to figure you out. And when you figure you out, you're going to operate in the higher realms of consciousness and forgiveness. You see, you acknowledge your own choices. Choose to live in the higher consciousness. Don't attack yourself. Don't attack your self-worth This is extremely important because if you attack yourself, you're staying in the lower vibrations of unforgiveness. So you must release yourself, and you must release the need to always be right. You must release the need to have somebody grovel and say, I'm sorry, and then you can forgive them. It's forgiveness is about you and then the persons that betrayed you, abused you, traumatized you, whatever it was. You see, by you forgiving, you're taking back your power. This is what Yeshua did on the cross. He released every wrong that was done to him. Why? Yeshua believed his purpose was to be an example for us, for all of us, of how to live an enlightenment consciousness life in the higher vibrations only. People only hurt from a wounded space. And once you recognize that when somebody is coming at you, whether it's physically or verbally, when they're coming at you, you will immediately know they are carrying a wound of unforgiveness. So once you recognize that, you don't need their forgiveness. You've taken back your power over yourself. Now you're in the higher vibrations of forgiveness, which is the first act of self-love, which is the second principle. What is the first? Love Yahweh and have no other Elohims, no other idols, no other whatever. The second is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. You see, because you cannot hold hate, anger, or resentment and unforgiveness in the higher consciousness of love. You can only forgive. Again, forgiving first yourself. Then you create space to forgive others, no matter what the wrong. When you do this, your love just created a vortex of unimaginable possibilities for a vibrational deluge of blessings to manifest in your life. You're in the higher vibrational frequency of love. That person or persons, whether they receive the forgiveness or not, maybe that person is dead. Remember, everything is energy. Their body is gone, but they're still here. Remember, I forget where the scripture is, I think is in Hebrews, that speaks about, we are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. Go to their grave and forgive them. As I said, remember, everything is energy. And you're now free, because by releasing, you free you. So forgiveness, again, at its core, is all about you. That second commandment principle is all about you. What you allow for yourself is what you allow for others. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Trauma bonds. but only if you hold fast to the trauma. Only if you stay in the vibrational or the vibration of allowing trauma. Yes. Staying in the vibration of, why is this happening to me? From the question of the victim. Refuse to be the victim. And you begin to shift the frequency. When you confront your traumas, you forgive yourself for agreeing on a soul level to experience the pain, it frees you, and the perpetrator, who might be a parent, as I said, a guardian, a friend, a lover, a spouse, whoever this person was, you shifted to the higher frequency of love. You're free. You're free. Let me leave these two quotes with you. One is from Robert Mueller, and it says, "To forgive is the highest and most beautiful form of love. In return, you will receive untold peace and happiness." The second quote is from Paul Boyce. "Forgive and embrace freedom. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it does enlarge the future." Forgiveness does not change the past. What happened, happened. What was done, was done. How you respond, it is what is essential and what is important. I hope that this helped you today. I love you, and I will see you in the next video.